Welcome to a new episode of The Swedish Deal. This time I talked to Luca Pagano, the Italian that was the ambassador for poker in Italy for quite a few years, also with PokerStars. He is now into esports, and it's going to be interesting to hear what he has to say. This talk is, as always, produced together with our partners Every Game Poker. And don't forget to press the subscribe button. One of the first big names in poker that I met when I started my poker career as a journalist was this guy, Luca Pagano. And it's really nice to see you again, Luca. How are you?
Fine, thank you, and great to see you again, Richard.
Yeah, it's been quite a few years. I wouldn't say 20, but maybe 17 years ago or something we met for
We
the
are
first
getting
time.
we are getting close to that round number that is 20, and I guess that it also means that we are getting a little bit old, but still young at heart, which
Of
is very
course.
important, obviously.
Yeah, that's very important. So where are you now, Luca?
I'm in Treviso at the moment. I'm in the Qlash headquarter. Super happy to tell you exactly what is my new journey with Qlash. But right now we have a big, huge gaming house, 2,000 square meters, where esport players are living here, where content creators and video makers and video editors are living here, and I'm also living here. So this is the
Wow.
place where it happen.
I mean, I talked to Eugene a while ago, who is your partner, I guess, right?
Yep,
Eugene Katchalov.
correct. Is the
And
best partner ever, by the way.
he's one of the best people in the world, I think.
Absolutely,
Yeah, and I
absolutely.
imagine he's a really good partner too. So tell me about, maybe we should start with the poker and we come into the
Sure.
Qlash. So I know your father and you were involved in poker in Italy quite early. When was that, Luca?
Yeah, that was 15 years ago, I guess. That was, let's say, just a couple of years after the poker boom in Europe. I was already kind of part of PokerStars, and we see the opportunity to start organizing live events, poker events in Italy, in the Italian casinos. So my father definitely is the entrepreneur at heart. He said, Luca, we have to start organizing tournaments. And that's when we decided to, let's say, make of an hobby, a passion, poker into a proper business.
Yeah. So how come you became a PokerStars name that early? Because you were one of the first names, and the Italian ambassador for PokerStars. When was that, Luca?
That was a really season one of the APT. I think that I've been, let's say, smart and lucky enough to understand that poker was supposed to become something really big. At the time, there was only the World Poker Tour. We all, I mean, our older generation saw what poker was becoming in the States, and it was not really difficult to understand that that would have been also translated into a European scene. So I decided to invest a lot of effort and also a little bit of money in the live poker scene. So and that's where I say I've been smart because I saw the opportunity coming. The luck factor comes in when I start making final tables after final tables during the season one of the APT, and that was my, let's say, my way to enter in the Poker Stars family. So in
Yeah.
the very beginning, season one of the APT.
Yeah, I remember that. I also I think the very first one was won by Alex Stevic, the
That was
first
yeah.
EPT in Barcelona, and then I mean the first season was amazing. Were you at the final table at the Monte Carlo
Yes,
as well?
yeah, I was as I was the final table with Alex Tevic. I finished third or fourth, I think third. That's when I became very good friend of Tevic, of Alexander, because that was obviously a stressful and but also a very important experience for the both of us. The guy won it, so kudos to him. But that was my way to present myself to PokerStars and to start building my brand, reputation, and the community that then we have been able to consolidate with the Italian poker scene.
I see, I see. Yeah, that was amazing. It's so many. I think was it 2004?
It could be, let's say,
Yeah,
it's
I think it
15 or
was
16 years
2004.
ago. So yeah, probably even more. Yeah, probably was. So if it's not 2004, it's 2005, but
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah,
long time ago.
yeah. 2002. Okay, that's right. And I mean, we knew that the moneymaker boom was coming.
Yeah.
And online was booming, of course, and a lot of Swedish players, a lot of Italian players loved to play online
Yes.
to qualify.
Yes.
It was kind of the golden age of poker for in a bit, right?
Yes, it wasn't the golden age. It was also somehow a more, let's say, romantic part of the industry where I remember that At the time when I started playing poker, internet was not really such a common thing, at least in Italy. So I remember that I had to go to the States to buy books about poker where I was studying from. I also remember that my first, let's say, professional career started, or let's say the adventure started also in the States when I was playing at the Bicycle Casino. I remember that I've been able to accumulate $2,000, and I basically took my whole bankroll to LA, and that's where I was grinding the 1-2 limit hold'em. At the time, no limit was not even a thing. There was only limit hold'em. But was super cool because I remember that we had this Johnny Chan type of names that was our heroes. We had Amarillo Slim, we had Doyle Branson. I mean, those all names that I think that the new generation today somehow they know who they are, but they cannot really appreciate what those names meant for our generations. And we definitely took inspiration from them. And I would say that if I'm able to, if I was able to have, let's say, a 15, 20 years long poker career, I'm very grateful for those big old guys.
Yeah, I remember coming to Vegas for the first time. I think it was 2006 was my first trip there, and we went down to the Horseshoe, and of course it was Rio then. They moved to Rio, but there was still a kind of thing in the air around all these big names, and people were just, oh, and it was such a new world that opened up. And when was the first trip to bicycle for you?
That was probably 2000, I would say maybe 2002 or 2001.
Wow,
Yeah,
so early.
yeah, exactly. Maybe I was 21 or 22 years old. I think that I just had the legal age to start gambling a bit. But it was great. That was my real, not just poker, but also life, let's say, gym. Because
Yeah.
to be able to survive in such an environment, a very competitive environment, I think that really educated me in the right way,
Yeah,
obviously.
what was your from those first, let's say, first few years until, I mean, 2004 to 2010? What was the best memories, would you say, Luca?
I would say the APT. I would say the APT, and probably I would say the first final table, the one in Barcelona, because that really open up my whole career. Then I've been able to make other final tables, also in Deauville. Actually, it was the not the stop one, but the stop number 2 or 3. So that was back to back. I remember that I've been traumatized about because I was supposed to do a very good result in that final table. That was the very first time that PokerStars decided to sponsor me, and I got busted after 2 hands.
Oh,
So that was already kind of a roller coaster of emotions. So that was yeah. Let's say that I had a glimpse of what poker would have mean for my whole career, roller
mm,
coaster.
mm.
But I would say that Barcelona is my best memory. Then I've been able to make a final table in Monte Carlo. That's where I made most of the money. Make some nice sixth place, but that was still kind of $500,000 prize. But the Barcelona thing, 20,000 third place prize was really nothing compared to what I've been able then to eventually made with poker. But at emotional level, that was my strongest memory for sure.
Yeah. It's great. So you went into the entrepreneuring part with your father, and that went quite well, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that was honestly the credit to my fathers. Let's say that he's definitely the entrepreneur between the two. I definitely have learned a lot from him, but at the time, he was the driver, the guy that was really converting every passion into a work, into a business. I was more the guy inside the industry. I was kind of understanding and picking the trends. So I think the combination of me and my father together to run this business was very important. And I have to say that was also a great experience to work very closely to my father. I always been very close to my father. We always have shared the passions, poker, for example, also backgammon in the past. But I think that if you work in a productive way and also in a successful way with your father for 15 years, somehow you get closer.
Of course. You also
And
get
I would say that rather than just the money, which obviously are very important in life, money, but the fact that poker, the business, they gave me the opportunity to get closer to my father was probably the most important thing that I got from poker.
There's specific time in your life when you, for most people, not all, because not all have that relation with their father, but you respect them and they take care of you, and you come to a point when you gain their respect. That's a very important moment in a son's life to his father, and a daughter, of course. Do you remember some specific time when you gained your father's respect?
I think that was exactly when I played the ATT
Barcelona.
Barcelona. Yes, that was Barcelona because somehow, I mean, at the time the buy-in was 1,000 euro, which compared to today buy-ins is nothing. But at the time, 1,000 euro was a lot of money, at least for myself. So I wanted to play, but then I didn't want to invest all the money. My father saw me that I was struggling to play in the event. Obviously, didn't want to waste money, but he wanted to give me the buy-in as a present. And yeah, say that those money has been, let's say, well spent,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
out
of
of
course.
that I've been able to get closer to PokerStars, and then we converted the relationship with PokerStars into an actual business with the Italian Poker Tour and with the European Poker Tour in Sanremo. So I would say that everything was instrumental to get to the point where I am today with my new journey, but also the way that I took the whole poker wave was definitely something very, 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 very important. I was super, super proud of what we have achieved today in poker. I mean, we somehow brought poker in Italy. We were doing the productions of the Italian Poker Tour. I was doing the commentary on television, so I was becoming some sort of a public figure, something completely new to me. Yeah, I would say that everything I wouldn't change anything about of my past in the poker industry.
No,
Nothing at
I
all.
think it's funny because some countries, you know, that Sweden was very, very, it was extremely popular here. And I think Sweden and Italy were two of the countries where it was the biggest. I guess it was even like when you went out on the street, because the general public was playing poker
Yes,
in those years.
yes,
Did people come for autographs in the street or
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
take
yeah,
pictures
absolutely,
and so on?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And was really, again, was kind of not scary but crazy for myself, because I mean, poker in Italy have been always associated with gambling. We know that it's a skill game, but was always associated with gambling. So to be a gambler was not really a good thing, at least in the Italian culture. So I don't want to say that I was hiding that I was a professional player, but that was not something that I was bragging about. But then with the explosion of the poker in televisions, I found myself in, I'm exaggerating, to hide my profession to actually sign autograph, and that was kind of crazy, because that was really a big jump. Um, I think that today poker is I don't want to say that has let's say diminished in the interest, but there are some very restricting law in terms of advertisement of poker in Italy, so that's why people don't talk that much anymore about poker. But in terms of actual players, actual games, it's exactly the same numbers that we had 5, 6, 10 years ago. So that means that Italians are poker players at heart. They really like to play poker.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I remember people were asking, where do all these good Swedish players come from? There were so many early in the beginning, really good players. And I said, we have long winters, we have good technology, we have
Yes,
decent intelligence or education. We have
absolutely.
yeah, we have people that have money usually, and that was kind of the composition for bringing out so many good players that understood the possibility to become a poker pro online usually, and then also bring it into the live scene. So
I remember, Richard, when I was playing against Eric Sackstrom, Eric 123,
yeah,
and I was playing with him at Paradise Poker. PokerStars was not even a thing
right,
at the
right.
time. I was playing on PokerStar, sorry, on Paradise Poker, and we were probably the only very few guys in the world that really liked to play limit hold'em, super aggressive. So basically, we were joining empty 10-handed tables, because at the time the short-handed tables didn't exist. So we were just sitting and waiting for let's say for the whale to sit down, and we were just keep raising and raising. Today, I would say that today is way easier to improve your poker skill, because you can easily find a lot of very good informations. It's just a matter of spending time and energy in educating yourself, and you can get there. But at the time, it was really a matter of intelligence, being connected to the right people to exchange ideas, feedback. So it was really a group of people that I have learned a lot from. And I think that somehow I've been able to influence a little bit the poker at that time. Not today. Today it's a completely different style of game, different sport. But it was cool to be there in the very early stages.
Who would you say, were there any specific names that you remember from those years, except the ones you mentioned, that you kind of looked up to, hooked up with, and thought were some kind of role models for you as a poker player?
Yeah, absolutely. As a player, I mean, as an online player, definitely Eric Sackstrom. I mean, it was my hero. It was the guy that was killing all the tables in every site. So he was my hero. Then obviously I got very close with Marcel Luske, another poker legend. He's still my live poker life legend because he's a super cool guy and a gentleman, a guy that decided to invest on myself. He gave me all his secrets, how to play good poker, but also it taught me how to behave at the table and how to behave with the other players, which is something that is not that obvious today, because I think that today we tend to forget that poker is still a game of people. And we should understand that we are playing against other people that are there to enjoy, to have fun. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but at the end of the day, it's important to always give to the other players a good experience, a good memory, for whatever reasons, just for the sake to be gentle and nice to other players that are there to have good time.
Of course, of course. I really agree with you, Luca. Now, after play, are you still playing any poker?
Very little, very little. I play, let's say, 1-2 tournaments per year, just to make sure that I am not really losing everything. It's also to keep a little bit of connection with the industry and with the game itself. I don't have much time. I always believe that to play poker at high level, you really have to be 100% focused on that. Otherwise, it's a different type of game, it's a different type of approach, which is totally fine, recreative poker. But when you have been a professional poker player for 15 years, yeah, there's only one way to play poker, and that's at high level, at professional level. So I don't have that energy anymore, because I'm 200% of my time invested in Qlash, my esport journey, which is not really a revolution compared to what I was doing. I prefer to say that it's more an evolution of what I've been doing in the poker scene, and super happy to explain you why. But yeah, I don't have time and energy to focus. I'm coming back very soon, because and I'm anticipating you something, but I'm 100% sure that esport and poker, they're gonna meet somewhere very soon. Because we always been saying that poker is a sport. I still believe that, honestly, but maybe it's not really a sport, a traditional sport, but it's closer to an electronic sport, an esport. So I think that under the esport umbrella, poker fit perfectly. So I guess that in few years, maybe few months, you're gonna see some big major poker tournaments in one room, and next door you're gonna see some video games events.
So how come you ended up? Because when I did the interview with Eugene, he talked a little bit about Qlash or Qlash. Do you say Qlash?
Qlash.
Qlash.
I say Qlash.
Yeah, we see it behind you. It's a great logo. Were you also into video games when you were a kid?
Yes, of course. Actually, poker took me out of my gaming routine. That's why maybe I was good in online poker, because I was used to play a lot of video games. I was used to spend a lot of time in front of a computer and be very focused in the game. And I think that that was my real training to become some sort of a successful online player. I do believe, Richard, that somehow we are talking about the same thing when we talk about poker and we talk about esport. It's pretty much the same thing. Obviously, the game is different. The product is different. Poker is a card is a game card. Video games. There are also card games there, but there are also different type of games. But at the end of the day, the biggest driver for both industry is the engagement. To make of your hobby, your passion, a profession, a business, your life. So in the esports space, there are professional video games players. There are national and international tournaments, but there are also the tournaments for the grassroots players. And that's where I guess that PokerStars got most of the success because of the success, because they were organizing a lot of live events where they brought all the famous professional players to play together with the casual gamers. And that's where the magic happened with poker, but it's exactly the same magic that is happening in the esports, because today you can play an esport tournament together or against the best player of FIFA. That's FIFA is a soccer simulator, football simulator. So the dynamics are really, really similar. So for me, again, it's not really a big jump. It's an evolution. I'm trying to apply all my learnings that I did, not just as a player, but also as a communicator and also as an organizer in poker, translating to the esport. And I would say that if we are some sort of a successful esport organization, it's exactly because of that. We are somehow, don't want to say copying, but I would say that I took a lot of inspiration from the PokerStars model, where the professional player is the hero, but you also have to engage with the hero, with the players, with the grassroots players. And that was something that I didn't really understand at the very beginning of my PokerStars journey, because PokerStars wanted me to play together with the casual gamers in very small tournaments. And I didn't understand why I was supposed to do that, because I thought that for them it was important for me to go at the EPT and win the EPT. But honestly, at the end of the day, PokerStars, yes, they care if I was going to win it or not an EPT. But for them, it was more important to engage with the casual gamers. And that's exactly what we have been missing in the esports space. The heroes were too far from the grassroots players. So at Qlash, our mission is really to fill this gap between the heroes and the grassroots players, and it's working pretty well.
No, but I think you can find similarities in $1 tournaments online and $200 tournaments, where the grassroots level esports players are playing the $1 level tournament. Even if it's not money in that way. But I absolutely understand. I'm fascinated about how you found it and how similar it actually is.
It is, Richard, and it's also business-wise a massive opportunity. I think that we are in the very, very early stages of the industry. I think that also because of COVID somehow accelerated the awareness of esport. I remember that before COVID, video games were kind of classified in a way that was something that was hurting the young generation because kids were spending too much time. But then during the COVID, all these organizations said, thanks God there are the video games, so the young generation can still engage with each other.
Wow.
So again, exactly as I experienced in poker, when I was hiding that I was a player, and then I would start signing autograph. In the esport, we were kind of the same type of jump from one extreme to the others. And I do believe that we are just scratching the surface of the iceberg.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm so looking forward to follow your journey together with Eugene, and I'm sure you're going to be successful with that. And as you say, there are some things coming up in the not too far future. Is that right?
Absolutely, Richard. I also like, and I'm a little bit bragging about this, but we have been able to involve in Qlash not just myself and Eugene, which obviously are the co-founders, but among the investors, we also have Phil Helmut, Daniel Negreanu, Daniel Cates, Jeff Gross. So I would say that all these players, rather than just being obviously our friends, they actually perceive that we are in the very early stages with esport, exactly as we were 15 or 20 years ago in the early stages of the poker industry. So they are picking up the same vibe, the same messages, the same opportunity. and that's why we've been able to involve them. So I think, Richard, it's all about, and I really would like it to pick your brain in the near future, but I think it's all about connecting the dots here. We have to connect the dots in a smart way. I think that all the people, the professionals that are coming from the poker industry, they're going to have definitely an important competitive advantage in the esports space, because they exactly know how esport may look like in 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now. Maybe on a much bigger scale, but that's exactly the same evolution that we have appreciated in the poker industry.
Of course, one name that comes to mind, of course, who I interviewed many times and is a close friend of yours, I guess, and Eugene, is Elki. But he came from there were quite a few big names in esports coming into poker, crushing it, playing 60 tables at the time. Absolutely. But he's also showing his face in the esport world again, Elki, doesn't he?
Absolutely, he's a great guy, friend of us. He's actually helping a lot, also in the Qlash journey, because the guy is a legend, not just in the poker space, but probably is even a bigger legend.
He's bigger in esports.
Probably is way bigger in the esports space, because the guy has been #2 in the world of StarCraft 1, and he was the first European players to be able to challenge the Koreans. So he moved to Korea. I mean, if I now can really see how he evolved from esport to poker back and forth, the guy really gained a lot of credit at my eyes, because it's not that obvious to be able to be successful in two different industries. Again, the industries are similar, but to be successful at competitive level in both is like to be Jordan in basketball. But also to actually make it through baseball, but actually to make it. And the guy didn't make it. But Elki was able to actually make it into very different disciplines. So kudos to Bertrand.
Yeah, Bertrand Grospellier. Okay, Luca, I think since so many things are happening in your industry all the time, maybe we only scratch the surface. I want to talk a bit more about how's life outside all this, and is it Milan for you?
No, it's Treviso. We are close to Venice.
Yeah, but which is your football team?
Oh, my football team is Milan. Actually, if you see the jersey, that one. So not only is the team that I've been supporting lately, and they are our partners. Basically, AC Milan 2 years ago decided to jump into the esport journey as well. They somehow realized that they don't have the knowledge. They have the resources, obviously, but they don't have the internal know-how and human resources and understanding about how to communicate to the young generations. So they decided to create a partnership with Qlash. Basically, they are outsourcing all the esport opportunity with us. So basically, when we play FIFA or eFootball, which is the new name of PES. Some of you guys may know the PES game.
Pro Evolution Soccer.
Exactly. Okay, so you're one of those. Very good, Richard. We play under the Milan Qlash brand. So this should give you the feeling about how big is the opportunity, because obviously we are much smaller as a company. We are much smaller. We are really a fraction compared to AC Milan. But if a big brand, a big company as AC Milan decide to partner really also at branding level for the esports space, that means that we are definitely on the right directions and in the right industry and also at the right time. Again, as I was telling you before, it's all about connecting the dots.
Luca, I really like this talk. I think it's a good thing. I talked to some of the interviews I've done, because I picked this up last year. I thought it was a good idea too, because we met so many times. I met you more than many of my friends, out on the tour. We were like a family, and I felt like when I got back to Gus and Negrano and Barry Greenstein and Eugene, and even Philip Grusem, who came a bit later than in the beginning, they all said, "Oh, I love to talk." So I think there's a good thing here, and we should talk again, Luca.
Looking forward for that, Richard. Looking forward to meet you in person as well. Again, maybe during an EPT event or God knows, maybe an esport event.
Yeah, I would love that. I'm a fan myself. I watched the GSL. It's where I watched the final the other day where Maru is great, but that's only because Raynor is not there, I guess, right?
Yeah, I lost in the final, but listen, I do believe that we're gonna see a lot of young talents coming up, exactly as it happened in the poker industry. And I think that video games and poker can give to the young generation the opportunity to make out of their passion, hobby, their life. I think that it's important to stress out about the opportunity, but I'm talking more to the parents of the kids, not really to the kids, because they already know that they can make a living out of playing video games. But I think that it's important to talk to the parents and to the old guys and explain them that it's not just about playing video games. Yes, I mean, some of the kids are kind of wasting time because maybe they overplay, they spend too much time, they don't play with the right mindset. But as I've appreciated how important was to play properly poker, also at mindset level, I do believe that video games can really give the right structure and the right skill set and the mindset to the young generation.
And also the social skills of
Absolutely.
communicating and meeting and be a
Absolutely.
part of a community, which is not that easy today.
Listen, Richard, let me tell you this thing. In our team, we have Ukrainians playing together with Russian players. We have Catholic players playing together with Islamic players. We have boys and girls playing together. We have players
Old and young.
I mean, honestly, Richard, they don't give a shit about all these differences. And even if we are in a very crazy period of our life, obviously we are getting old and we're getting a little bit scary about how the world is changing. But I have to tell you that since the day that I start getting really close to the young generations, I'm very, very positive because when these kids are gonna grow up, they're gonna bring a completely different and more positive point of view with life.
Yeah, I remember a similar thing which is applicable to the esports world too. Is, for example, we were in the Bahamas at the PCS, and Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo or the old
Yes,
Ronaldo was there,
yes.
and so many people were starstruck. I did an interview with him, but he was a fan of Phil Ivey and
Hmm.
Patrick Antonius. He thought they were the stars, and he was a fanboy. And I mean, you can have that in the esport as well. You can have big name players from football coming in and playing against big names in esport, and they are the fanboys. And I think that's something magical about that.
Absolutely, Richard. And that's exactly what I was just saying. Esport is going to look like exactly like poker, and all these type of dynamics are already happening in the esport. So you already know what is going to be the next steps for the industry. So keep an eye on esport, keep an eye on Clash, keep an eye on poker because again, I think that it's time for me to get back on track with my poker career somehow. I don't have much time, but I really want to get back to the poker table properly. And who knows, maybe we're gonna create something that talk to both worlds.
Sounds good, Luca. Already looking forward to see you in real life, and also we have a new discussion maybe in a few months' time and see what happened with Clash and maybe with your renewed poker career.
Absolutely, looking forward for that. And
Uh,
thanks very much, Richard, for the opportunity. Always
yeah,
great to see you and talk to you.
thank you, Luca.
Ciao, ciao, everyone. Ciao.
Yes, that was an interesting talk with Luca Pagano. I look forward to talk to him again as his esport business is progressing really fast. This talk was produced with our partners Every Game Poker, and thank you for watching. And please hit that subscribe button, and I see you soon again.